Welcome to AssetRush to Talk. I'm here with Mirko Visco from Generation Alpha. You're my guest today, and you will take part of AssetRush.
Yes, Philippe, thank you so much.
Now in Geneva. So please introduce yourself.
I'm Mirko Visco, I'm 48, I'm the founder of Generation Alpha. I'm heading all the investment side of the firm, and in particular the private market opportunities.
So what really drives you? How do you change the business you're in?
I think by being independent, it really helped me to changing the way I was able to service the client and to look for always innovative ways of investing and innovative opportunities for the clients.
And what do you think is the main difference in your business?
I think the main difference is the way we do the business, in the way we go to the details of each investment opportunities, in the way we like to look for differentiating ourselves to the others and finding different ideas that can enrich a portfolio for private clients.
Now, I know you have many talents. Which would you describe as being your unique talent?
Probably being passionate about the business, being passionate of being an entrepreneur, and to consider that in every day I have to give an impact, a positive impact to my team, and obviously, hopefully, to the clients' portfolios.
You sure do have that, and I also see that you put all of your energy into your products, into your investments. So tell us a little bit more, how deep do you go in these investments? What's the time you're taking, and what's the focus for you?
Well, I would love to be able to analyze and structure an investment within a week or 2 weeks. Unfortunately, it takes longer. Mm-hmm. It takes longer first to analyze opportunities, because when we do private market opportunities, what we like mainly is understanding to whom we will be allocating the money, being a GP for private equity or from some real estate opportunities, or to whom we will be lending money to. Usually, we like to ensure that the entrepreneurs with whom we will be partnering are, as we call, the surgers of their industry. They are strong in their investment capacities, and that they will be able to maneuver through the turbulences of an economical cycle. In some occasions, it took us 5 years until we made an investment, but during these 5 years, we were on a regular basis in talk with the entrepreneurs, with the company. In some cases, it takes us 3 months if we have some strong beliefs in the investment theme and we know how to structure from A to Z an investment vehicle that will be offered to our clients.
And in particular, what do you look for in these investments or in these entrepreneurs?
I first look for what differentiates them from the others, and then what differentiates this investment to the rest of a portfolio. I believe that the strongest and probably the most difficult part of the investment construction is to manage the correlation properly. And I think I have to be honest, I cannot do that. So the way I try to approach it is in finding industries or themes that are very different one to the other. Going from some more traditional real estate opportunities to some more exotic type of asset classes, such as legal assets, for example. Mm-hmm. And that's the way we believe we can enrich the portfolio construction.
So since I know you, and I think we have that in common, diversity played a big role in what you do. Can you tell me a bit more about how you see a portfolio and what you think a portfolio should cover?
I think portfolios should be covering both liquid and less liquid investments. And then it's the way you do approach these less liquid investments that you can make them being affordable for the private clients. Very often, the illiquid investments are only dedicated to institutional management. Mm-hmm. And we think we can do more as a wealth manager. We should be able to tailor these investments to offer them to all the clients. One of the main advantage of this illiquid world is that it's as rich and as wide as the liquid market. And I believe that in particular, since quantitative easing took a lot of impact into traditional financial markets. This illiquid part can absorb most of the volatility that traditional asset classes do have.
Sure do. Now, tell us more a bit about the hidden gems that you found so far and maybe also the success you had with it.
Being able to structure a certificate or a tracker has offered me the opportunity to approach these investments for clients. And this is something that was not available before. It changed definitely over the last 5 years, the way our firm, Generation Alpha, was able to attract new clients. From each of these deals, we have been able to get more assets from the clients or get new clients understanding it. And I think one of the difficulties as well that the industry has is how you are able to simplify the investment portfolio, how you are able to simplify the way you explain these investment strategies to your clients.
Now, in the whole ecosystem, I think this plays a very big role to support this diversity and also this stability. And you certainly invest a great amount of time in actually finding those opportunities and also guiding through them. Now, tell us a bit more about the guiding process through these investments. I mean, these are sometimes long cycles. You have to have a very good relationship with your investors. You have to really be very forthcoming with your ideas and also stay on top with the investments. So tell us a bit more how that works for you.
I think when you are trying to advise and present investment opportunities, you get the investors that fit best in your ethics and in the way you do portfolio construction. We're lucky to have a lot of entrepreneurs that have been following our investment ideas, mainly because in their day-to-day business, they understand the same way that investment is a long-term process, that you can, within the long-term process, have different maturities and you have different cycles, and it's the way you can absorb these cycles that will make the difference. What we aim is not to maximize the return, but is to optimize the probability of reaching a certain level of performance.
And with that, also protecting the values that everybody cares for and actually wants to lead with.
Exactly. I think one of the probably common parameters of most of the investments that we select is being the closer to the tangible assets. In cycles of bad cycles, when you own a real estate or when you have some security that are pledged to a loan, you know that worse can be worse, but you can also approach some of these assets and recover some of the values.
Would you say in some sort you claim ownership over return?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And how would you define your core values, or also what aligns you in core values with your investors?
One way is to ensuring that we always get the support of consultants that help us analyzing these industries. We give access to our due diligence reports to our clients. We make sure that we spend enough time with them, with each of them, to explain and to ensure that they understand the strategies. Even if sometimes we have discretionary portfolio managements, we try to go to the details of each of the investments and to put ourselves at the level of understanding of our clients. And I think that is probably one of the most important ways, making sure that the clients do understand the way the portfolio will be managed, the risk related to illiquid investments. We spend a lot of time in that.
And what it covers for them in terms of diversity.
Yeah.
So is that a scalable model that you're having here?
If a day would be more than 24 hours, it would be scalable. It's not scalable. Unfortunately not.
And on the other side, I think you put all your passion in and you do something that the industry mainly is not willing to do anymore. So how would you see that?
Well, to go back to the point before, if it were to be scalable, I would look for another type of strategy that would not be scalable. Because what I think is very important is to try to differentiate yourself and to find these opportunities that makes a difference.
That totally makes sense to me. Now, is that Would you say is that the holy grail to find growth in these markets over time?
There are always opportunities to find growth. There are always opportunities in every cycle. It's the way you approach them, you understand them, that makes the difference. As I said, if you are close to real assets, you always tend to find the good opportunities.
How will that change over time now for you? Do you want to become heavier in your investments? Do you want to enlarge the group of investors that follow you, or do you want to be more specific on certain topics that you invest in? Where does that lead you?
I think we'd like to do it better, more than to enlarge. Obviously, we'd love to have more and more investors following these ideas, because the more we can have from a commitment in each of the investments, the better will be our sourcing as well. But the way we see it is we'd like to do it better. We'd like to find the way that each of these investments is a journey for our client. Sometimes I'm telling them, what we want is not to lead and to be the captain of the plane when we do the Paris-New York. We want to be sitting on a first class, enjoying it, but we want to make sure that the captain is the right captain, because there are always turbulences in a Paris-New York flight. And we don't want to fail in trying to believe that we can be the captain of each of the flights.
Now, you've been an entrepreneur from a very young age. How did that come about?
Probably I became entrepreneur too young for this industry. And that has created that I made a lot of mistakes at the beginning. I learned a lot from these mistakes. And unfortunately, this idea of being an entrepreneur was a part of a coincidence, but it was very much in my DNA. I'm lucky to have been the son of two immigrants. My father is Italian, he's in the building industry. My mother is Spanish. And my father is 75, he's still an entrepreneur, he's still active on a day-to-day. I don't know why. He's passionate from his job. I think the hobby is his job and the job is his hobby. And I have the feeling that is the same for me. The financial industry is my passion. I'm not reading many books, but I like reading business cases and understanding how some industries work and spending time with entrepreneurs, because I believe entrepreneurs, they are always here with great value, and they can teach you how they have been not necessarily performing, but how they have been going through the pains of their industry.
What was the biggest learning in the time, or what were the biggest learnings in your time and as an entrepreneur so far?
That there is only one failure, is stopping what you do. I think you always can do better, and you will never be perfect. You have to agree with that. You have to listen to all controversial opinions, but you have to be convinced of what you do. You have to be passionate of what you do. And I think you have to believe that you can improve every day in the way you lead your team. You can improve the capacity that the company can be perceived from investors.
Where do you oppose with the most asset managers that you see, or with the most strategies that you see?
I would say from the other asset managers, I think I would oppose by probably being less successful and profitable than they are. I always think that I could be much richer if I had done the things differently, spending more time in as being an employee, and being independent later on, and trying to focus more on the profitability more than as well enjoying my time of being an entrepreneur. So I think this is one of the way I try not to communicate too much on the way I do my business, because I like that people cannot put me in a box and don't categorize me as one specific asset manager. I'd love that some people would do a diagnostic of me, of my company, and fail to understand what we do, because that means we realize exactly the main goal is to be a tailor in the way we do our business.
What made you proud in the last couple of years?
Obviously, what made me proud is the satisfaction that we have from our clients. We've been lucky to have a lot of loyal and trustful clients. As well, the fact that over the last 2 years we were able to grow our business and having a lot of new clients coming in. That means that the way we see wealth management matters to some investors. And these are a lot of people that used to be traditional private banking clients that don't understand the way private banking works in a bank, but they want to have something that is made it a different way for them.
I can relate to that. I mean, lots that you said just reflects on me. I think you can never stop learning, and you will certainly not do as I've seen you doing things, because it's remarkable with how much passion and intensity you look at your investments and you also treat your clients with. So, what would be the main 3 takeaways that you would give on and that let you maybe join the AssetRush ecosystem and be here in this talk and on stage soon in Geneva?
I will tell you what would have not led me to join the AssetRush is, and we discussed that in different occasions, is on selling something. I have nothing to sell. I have just my experience that I'm happy to share with people. I want to as well emphasize on the fact that there are no limits. The limits you're putting, the limits yourself. We went towards the capacity of structuring vehicles that opened a lot of doors to the way we could have thought doing business. I think that is number one, is the limits that you can fix to yourself. The second one is the fact that every day is a different day on the financial industry. And this is the main challenge that we have, is that you have good days, you have bad days, you have a lot of pains, you have a lot of satisfaction. And so that's the second one. And that goes obviously very much with the passion that you can have. And the third one, I think very important, and we hear a lot about ESG in our industry. I believe more in the impact that you can do every day. I think that's very important. We get calls from NGOs on a regular basis that obviously would like us to allocate some funds to their foundations, and I always believe that my first goal is to allocate funds to my company, and obviously I'm very proud that we've been able to grow the number of employees, and being an entrepreneur means a lot. I mean, I think you have a duty towards your team of ensuring that you put them in good conditions to be successful and to be happy.
So that last question, what do you bring to the people at AssetRush? Why should they come and see you?
I'd be happy to share with them the experience that I've had in using your vehicles to enrich the way I could allocate investments in my private clients' portfolio, and which means tomorrow in their private clients' portfolio. We were able to do a lot of different strategies. I think compared to probably some other people presenters here that will be more selling a strategy, here to more provide them the experience of how your business can grow by using structured products in general, and SPVs more in particular.
Wonderful. Now, one last thing, in the economical cycle that we are in today, what do you think is a successful model for every investor? What would you investors advise with in that point in time?
That means there would be one strong conviction on investment side, and that I think is a mistake to think that your conviction is going to be the right investment strategy. I think we have to be humble. There are a lot of variables outside of the financial market, geopolitics, and the humans that can push some asset classes up and down, algorithm that can push asset classes up and downs. So I think the important is to put your different investments in different strategies where you see that the bases of these strategies are not correlated one to the other. We say don't put all your eggs in the same basket. Mm-hmm. I think you can do much more than that. You should not take the eggs from the same animals. You should not think that only this type of animal can give eggs. Provide eggs. So many animals can provide eggs. And that's the way we think in the investment side. You know, we try to give an example on the real estate side. We've made investment in headquarters of large companies. Mm-hmm. You have a very safe income. The asset is based on a square meter per basis. But we've made investment in data centers led to large companies. Some people would say 2 commercial assets, they behave the same way. They don't behave the same way on data centers. The parameter is not square meters, is the megawatt, is the flow of data that will enter and exit the building at the same time. So we have 2 types of eggs, mm-hmm. but they are not corresponding one to the other. This is the benefit, and this is what we have to do on each of the different asset classes.
So what I learned from you is being an entrepreneur in the financial landscape is not always the easiest. It takes hard work. It takes a long time. It needs a good team, reliable people and reliable investors with good relationships too. And finally, you need to have dedication and time to really spend it on the passion, spend it on the projects that you love and that you actually care for, that you want to nurture, and that you build together with these investors to the successful part.
Correct.
of actually having not only returns, but actually also diversification and satisfaction from these asset allocations.
Correct.
One last thing, while we're talking here, you told me a nice story about a client of yours that was looking at your performance and was looking at the landscape that you offered to them, the kind of know-how they got from you, and I learned that not all your clients, of course, see at first what you're doing. It's unpredictable sometimes for them. So tell me a bit about that.
Well, I had a very strange experience recently when I was meeting a client of his and her son. We were lucky to have a positive performance last year, thanks to having allocated assets to private market opportunities. Mm-hmm. And obviously, when they look at the general performance, they were very happy. They looked at some details of the portfolio. And like always, you have an average portfolio return with some investment doing better than others. And in the discussions about next year's portfolio allocation, I was trying to convince them to keep enriching the spectrum of the investment. And the son wanted to liquidate some investment just because some investment underperformed others. And of something that was supposed to be like a half an hour discussion, I was hoping to be a positive half an hour discussion. It ended to be a 2 hours and a half discussion in making sure and informing the client about the risk of investment, of the failure of thinking that because some investment have been performing last year, they will be performing every year, and to go and make the mistakes of taking only the same asset classes that have been performing. I spent 2 hours and a half trying to convince them to a point where he told me that he was a client and that I should be accepting his opinion, which I agreed, but I offered him to have a beer outside of the meeting to agree on everything. But my responsibility as a wealth manager is not only on making suggestions on where to invest, but making sure that when this wrong decision could be taken by the client is aware of what could be the risk of this wrong decision, things that I believe were a wrong decision. The end of the discussion took place, and the next day I received an email from the client, his mother, thanking me of having been able to argue, but convince the son that it's only because the portfolio is well diversified that is well protected. And I think that day, even though the day before I ended up being tired of this 2 hours and a half meeting, like if I were out of a gym, class. But the next day I said, well, I did it. That was the important.
You absolutely proved your purpose, because you not only acted as a responsible entrepreneur, you acted as a responsible advisor.
Correct.
And took responsibility for your actions, which is actually something that I think this market can profit from and actually should learn from it in the future. I so much look forward to have you on the stage in Geneva. Thank you very much for this talk. It's great. It's been great working with you.
Thank you, Philippe.
Wonderful relationship over the time, and I cannot thank you enough for that. So thank you so much. Thank you for everything you bring in.
And see you in Geneva.
Thank you.